in him for 10 years or something like that. Generally not the case in swimming, but it's the rule nonetheless. Okay? 11th grade, okay, moving on to your junior year. This is when academics start to ramp up for a lot of people. AP classes start coming into play. Okay? Again, they can help you, but be strategic about how you're using AP classes and IB classes. Okay? There's a lot of demand that goes to those classes, and those are great. Depending on how much you want to leverage swimming or how much you're planning to swim in college may determine how you want to use those classes. Okay? Everybody has a slightly different path. Be careful of trying to overload yourself on an AP or IB curriculum if you're not going to end up using that academically to your advantage. If you're not going to end up at, if you're going to an Ivy League school, you're going to look at that, you really want to look into those programs. Okay? If you're really into a specific design major that doesn't really value that, just be strategic about how you set those up. High school guidance counselors can help with that. You want to start narrowing the list. Okay, so we're going to narrow our list down to about 8 to 12 schools fall your junior year. The only reason, and this is again not a hard and fast number. People, you can add a number to this list. You can take one away. So one's going to pop on. It's going to change. But what this does, it helps give you a chance to really start researching and comparing schools without trying to do it for 20 different places. It also gives you a manageable number of schools you can reach out to and communicate with. So you're setting up something you can manage. You're not trying to communicate with 20 people, or you're waiting to hear back, and it just gets confusing. Kind of narrow that list down to ones you're really interested in. This is a really important point, especially parents as you're getting into this. It goes into proper fit. But I want to talk a little bit about what a reach school is. Okay? If you have a list of 8 to 10 schools, you hear about somebody having a safe school, you have somebody having a reach school. Okay? A safe or a reach school is determined, in my opinion, by 3 categories. Financially feasible, athletically are you competitive there, and academically can you get in without any aid from athletics, right? If you're looking at schools and you're not sure you can get in there academically, you're outside of the range of their average scores, okay, that's a reach. If financially you talk to your parents and they say, hey, this school's really expensive, I don't know if we can afford this, that's a reach, okay? Athletically, if you're looking at it and you're not quite scoring at their conference level, but you really like their academics and you want to swim there, that's a reach. Okay? If it's a reach in any of those categories, it is a reach school. I've run into this the last couple of years where people sit down and they say, well, I fit in really well academically there, but I can't afford it and I'm not quite fast enough. Well, that's a reach school. Or they'll sit down and say, I can definitely swim there, I can definitely get in, but I can't afford it. It's still a reach school. It's not a shoo-in that you can go to that university and financially make that through all 4 years. You want to understand that's still a possibility, but you need to have another school on there that's safe in all 3 of those categories. And a lot of people make the mistake of trying to get 2 out of the 3, and they think they're fine, and then all of a sudden they've got 5 schools that are 2 out of the 3, and you're sitting there hoping that that last piece falls into place somewhere. Make sure you've got a school on there that's safe in all 3 categories. 11th grade, this is when you can reach out, okay, September 1 your junior year, you can reach out to college coaches and you can communicate with them. Okay? They cannot call you or talk to you. They can email, they can text, okay, but they cannot call and talk to you or talk to you in person. Okay, but you can't. Now, if you wanted to email them and say, hey, I'm going to call you at 5 p.m. tonight, that's fine. You can set up phone calls with them. They appreciate that kind of communication. We're going to talk a little bit more about communication at the end of this, but when you reach out to a college, that 8 to 12 list, you need to do a couple things. Okay? You need to fill out a questionnaire. Almost every school has a questionnaire on their website. Sometimes they're hard to find. Look on the athletics website, go to swimming and diving. There'll be a little link on there somewhere for a recruit questionnaire. Fill that out. Doesn't matter if you're on college swimming or whatever it is, that information goes directly to the coaches. You want them to have the most accurate information there. Right after you're done with that, email both the head coach and at least one assistant coach. Every athletic department on the website that I've seen, if you're on the athletic department's website, they have little bars at the top. One of the bars says athletic department. You hover over that, you'll drop down and it'll say directory. Okay, almost every single one, there's a full athletics directory on the website. It usually lists email only, sometimes they have phone numbers. You can grab every email of a coach, either from their bio page or from that directory, look them up, email the coach, email the at least one assistant coach, both. Don't just send it to the head coach, okay? Don't just send it to an assistant. Email 2 people on the same email. So Head coach has got a lot of things to do. Okay, a lot of times an assistant is the one coordinating those first contacts. He's pulling them in, putting them in a database, making sure they go on the list. Hey, head coach, we got a call from a swim back kid the other day. You might want to take a look. Okay, they'll go say that. The head coach isn't rolling through that. He's trying to figure out from his AD, he's going to let him go to Hawaii next year for a spring training trip. Okay, they're busy doing something else. So email 2 people, make sure they're both on there. When you reach out, say, I filled out a questionnaire. Okay, I'm interested in your tool. Is there a time I can talk to you? Doesn't have to be in the next month. It's not going to be right away, but just reach out, initiate that contact. It's okay to email somebody 2 or 3 times within a month if you don't hear something back. Be persistent. It's all right. They're not all college coaches are doing the same thing at the same time. They're busy in the fall. Okay. We'll talk more about communication in a little bit. Take your SATs and ACTs. Recommend doing both. There's a lot of, if you're researching schools, they'll value different ones at different places. But it really is important to take both, and probably take both a couple times. Please get ahead of the scheduled test dates. Every year we have people taking SATs this morning. Okay, there's an SAT date this morning. We have several of our senior swimmers that are there. They swam last night. They're going to swim tomorrow. They'll swim tonight, but there's an SAT this weekend. We can't avoid all the dates. Sometimes you can work them around your school and competition calendars. You don't want to be caught off guard trying to get that on there. Look up the SAT dates early. Make sure you know what they are. Start checking. We're trying to get that short course schedule out to you guys the next month so you can start working on that. Okay, plan those dates out. Take those tests. When you get to the end of your 11th grade year, I want you to think about narrowing your list down a little bit further. At this point, you should have had communication with school. You should be talking with coach. If you haven't heard from a coach, talk to one of us. Let us reach out. If that's from school, it's the top of your list, and you haven't gotten an email back or a call back, let one of us try to reach out. It may be that they're not interested, but we want to make sure we don't leave any stone unturned. We'll try to reach out for you or contact somebody that can. We'll do everything we can to get in touch with that school and see what's going on. Sometimes they say, look, we're just not working on that class yet. Sorry, we'll get to it in another couple weeks. Sometimes they say, yeah, we saw an email from her. I'm sorry, she's not the kind of swimmer we're looking for right now. Fine, at least we can move on. At that point, we want to know to take that school maybe off the list or move it down and move on to something else, or just understand that may not be an athletic fit for you. You can still go there, you can still swim, but it may not be an athletic fit. At that point, the end of your 11th grade year, you really need to be communicating with coaches that you're very interested. And again, this is the part where you may get an answer you don't necessarily like. Hey, we really like you. We have no way to give you any athletic aid or academic aid, but we would like to have you. Yeah, we really like you. You're going to have to get in on your own. You need to say you're interested so that you get a full picture, and it's okay to say, I am planning with my family. I would like to make the best decision possible. Can you help me understand where I stand with you at financially and where I stand with you at admission? It's okay to ask that question. Okay? Don't ask, I'd like to know if you have a scholarship for me. Okay? Ask it a little different way. Hey, I'd like to know more about what you see for me financially, if there's any aid academically or athletically, and we can help you word those questions. Okay, we're going to talk about communication again in a second, but probably the most help that I give out in a given year is helping people word questions and how to say things to coaches. We can help you do that. Okay? I keep moving quick here. 12th grade. So we're summer after your junior year. Okay, if you're in a position where you're going to take official visits, they can only happen after you've started school your senior year. You can take unofficial visits to campus before that. Unofficial is you pay your expenses. Official is expenses get paid for you. Okay. Not everybody gets official or unofficial visits, okay, offered to them. It's okay to say I'd like to visit, or I'm visiting with my parents, or make a trip out of it, or visit somewhere, okay? Again, the recruiting process is different than the selection process. You should understand by those phone calls late in March where you kind of stand in terms of being offered a recruiting trip or not. Okay? If you get to the end of March and you reach out to that coach, I'm really interested, and coach goes, yeah, I understand that. We got a couple other people we're looking at. We'll have to see at the end of the summer if we're going to do a recruiting trip. You may not want to count on getting a call and doing an official visit. That's okay. That doesn't mean you can't go there. It just means it might not be an official visit. It might not be somebody that's, they're not going to have you on as a scholarship student athlete. Don't rule that out. Every year we get people that are disappointed if they don't get an official visit or this or that. That shouldn't, again, we want to try to get ahead of that. We want to know if that's coming or not. And if that's an option for you, great. If it's not, that's okay. There are schools out there. I was at Queens for 2 years. We have a very small budget to run the team. Our official visits, we asked people to pay money to get to campus, and once they got there, we took care of them. Some places will pay for everything you go to that campus. Be upfront with coaches about official visits. Say, hey, I'd like to visit. If they say, we'd like to have you on an official visit, say, I just want to get clarity. What does that mean? Are you going to make my travel arrangements, or do I need to? Okay? You just don't want to be in that awkward situation where they're expecting you to pay to travel. Maybe it's a flight, maybe it's a long drive, and you're thinking they're going to pick that tab up. Not every school can do that. Okay? Some of the big ones can, a lot of the small ones can't. Okay? That's okay. You just got to understand that you want to be on the phone to be able to handle that, get ahead of that question. Know your important dates. Okay, admissions deadline number 1. Okay, not the signing date. The signing date is November. If you're going to sign officially, and just again, vocabulary-wise, signing date is if you are signing on to accept athletic aid at a university. You're not accepting athletic aid at a university. Okay, you may get a letter from the school to commit to them, but that's what that signing date is in November. Okay, so if you're not going to be a scholarship athlete, you may be committing, or you may be signing on unofficially, but it's not. That letter that goes out is only for athletic aid. And that's Division III doesn't do athletic aid. You're not going to get. You can get a commitment letter, but it's not going to be a scholarship. So you need to know what the admissions date is, because more often than not, that early admissions date is October, September. Okay, you want to pay attention to the admissions date much more than you want to pay attention to the signing date. Okay. Pay attention to early acceptance processes. A lot of schools have those. They're great options. You really narrow down your choice. You can get on there. That helps speed up the process and figure out if that school's going to be an option for you. At this point, after July 1st of your junior year, coaches can talk to you. They can come up and talk to you after competition at a meet. They can come to a practice and talk to you. They are allowed to initiate contact. Doesn't mean they're going to. Okay, and the way things are going right now, a lot of people, if you're contacting somebody throughout your junior year, let's say you've emailed with them a bunch, maybe you had a phone call or two. It used to be that didn't happen, and everybody waited for a phone call on July 1. Okay, that process is slowly changing. A lot of people don't do phone calls on July 1 anymore. Try to make sure you understand what, one of those emails or those phone calls you have with somebody in the spring of your year, you say, hey, I'd love to talk to you again in the summer. I know I can officially talk to you as July 1st. What are your plans to communicate after July 1? Ask those questions before you get there, so you're not sitting around watching the phone on July 1st when that coach thought they talked to you last week and they thought you were all good, right? The recruiting process is kind of like the dating game, right? The coach is sitting over there going, well, I called him last week. I should be fine, right? You're sitting there watching the phone going, I hope they call, I hope they call, I hope they call, right? Why didn't they text me? Why didn't they call? They don't like me. I don't know. It's the same process, but and again, it's not that they don't like you, they just may have other things that they're working on, okay? Or they may have a different process that they're going through. Again, if you're going to do official visits or unofficial visits, personally, I think our staff recommends 3. They can be exhausting. They can take you out of the classroom. They can take you out of the pool. You're allowed 5 official visits. You can take as many unofficial visits as you want to. Okay, but it does take some time and some energy to go visit those. Talk to some of the parents that have done this, some of the kids in our program that have done these. You hit 3 or 4 weekends in a row, you throw the inter-squad meet in there, 2 more weekends in a row, you throw the Dynamo meet in there, boom, all of a sudden you're flat on your back with mono and you don't know what happened. Okay? Be aware, just kind of plan ahead, understand that you want to take some visits somewhere. If it be unofficial, that's fine. Okay? Just understand that fall of your freshman year, you want to make sure you're still on top of things. I'd suggest narrowing it down to 3 visits, that way you just don't get overwhelmed. You can always add one, okay? It's just easier to plan for those 3 visits and maybe do a quick one-day trip somewhere else if you need to. Let us help you with that if you need help, okay?